All right, we are recording. So my name is Noah Quintero, and I am right here with Matt Evans from the Los Angeles Lakers.
Nice to see you.
Yep, good to talk to you on this beautiful Monday morning. All right, question number one I have for you, sir, is would you provide a brief summary of your current role and primary responsibilities?
Yeah, so I've worked for the Lakers for 9 years now. My current role is I'm in-game director in the control room for games at Staples Center, so all of our home games. So that means like anything like our cameras, our instant replays, graphics, anything that hits those big video boards you see at a sport arena. That's kind of what I'm in charge with, my main responsibility. And then when I'm not doing that, I'm editing videos, sometimes shooting videos, green screen with players, and that's content that you'd also see at our games primarily.
All right, very cool. So are you also in charge of like when they do the kiss cam and stuff like that? And like
that's actually that's the first question that everyone asks about my job. They're like, oh, do you do kiss cam? And now with COVID, obviously, kiss cam probably going away. I mean, we haven't done it in a couple seasons, but I think it's, you know, now with the way times are, it's probably something that will be gone. But yeah, that is something that we do. And, you know, the camera guys are really good about knowing, they scout, and they kind of, their job is also to be looking around, because I'm doing a lot of stuff that I have to do. So they're looking for, like, you know, who's good for those types of cams or fans that are dancing. And then, you know, my job is also supervising that to make sure, like, okay, if we have a cam that's sponsored by Budweiser or you know, some company like that, where age is important, we don't want to show a child, you know, so I have to make sure that I'm on those types of things as well. And fans get crazy and they do things that are a little crazy, so you gotta be a watchdog, you know, as well.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I never realized that the scouting that goes into it, because when I go to games like Dodgers or Lakers, I see them, but I never really thought about that.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, because some of the, you know, the cameras, for instance, like in our arena, like they're set up in different areas, and so they can only reach certain fans, like certain groups. So so they're like one guy's scouting this area, one guy's scouting that area in the arena, and sometimes there's overlap, and sometimes be like, wait a sec, we put up that fan before, okay, let's not go to that fan from a different camera, you know, because we try to diversify and get as many fans on there as we can.
Yeah, that makes it a super cool experience.
Yeah.
Say, oh, I was on the camera.
Yeah.
All right. The next question I have for you are, what key lessons have you learned from working in sports?
Key lessons of working in sports. I guess, you know, one of the big things too is like time management. And with sports, you know, you really dedicate a lot of your life to sports. It can be tough, you know, it's the most fun job you could ever have, especially if you like sports. But you know, there's just normal things like, when are you going to exercise in the morning? When are you do this? When you have a game, let's say like I'm at the arena, I might not get home till 11:30 p.m. on a game night, and I started that day at, let's say, 9 a.m. So, you know, you're exhausted and you're also wired. Like I'm amped because I'm on a headset talking to people for, you know, 4 hours straight. And then you go home and it's like, you can't go to sleep. So you're up till like 1. And then imagine waking up the next morning, you got to go back to work at 9. Yeah. So it's tough. Like those are the kind of the things that you got to really just get used to, and like meal prepping, whatever it is, those things. I think that's something with sports that specifically is a little interesting. It's a real grind that I think a lot of people getting into sports at first maybe don't realize. And so that's something that you have to decide for yourself if that's something that's for you. Now, not everyone's going to work on a game night like that. That's not, you know, for everyone. But, you know, there's a lot of, I would say most jobs with sports teams are not even going to the games. You know, they don't have to be there, but that's just something to keep in mind for like what I do.
Yeah. And I know most sports jobs entail like being with the team and stuff like that. But yeah, and I've heard from other people that it's a real grind, like exactly like you said, but the commitment it's a big commitment. It's not a 9 to 5.
Right. It's not a 9 to 5, but I mean, the payoff is amazing. You know what I mean? It's like you do love what you do. There's some sacrifices, but you love what you do.
Exactly. And then in the 9 to 5, you may not have that passion.
Right.
All right. The next question is, what are one or two highlights so far from your sports career?
I would say, my biggest for sure was when Kobe passed away. I was tasked right away with with making his tribute video. So that was going to be shown at our next home game pre-game, and it was going to be seen all over the world. And it was like I was still, I grew up a huge Laker fan. Like, this is my dream job. This is something that I didn't think was possible when I was a kid. And so Kobe was a big reason why I even wanted a job with the Lakers. He was like a hero to me, growing up and seeing him do all these amazing things. And so I was in the process of still grieving myself and trying to like get past the news that I heard that didn't even seem real, that still doesn't seem real. And then I'm tasked with the biggest thing in my career to make this video, which had to be long too. It was a big thing. So it was the pressure of the enormity of that, what that video was going to be for so many people, but also the fact that I had so little time to do it, to turn it around. So luckily, since I'd been with the team for a while, I had, a lot of footage and things that I'd been archiving with him. And so I worked around the clock, and my team, like everyone who works in my department in game entertainment, just was so on it that week and dedicated. And we were there for each other because it was emotional. It's like our whole office was a wreck, as you could expect. So working through the tears as you're editing, and, my coworkers picking me up and all these things. And then when we showed the video, it was played with a live cellist from the LA Philharmonic. And it just, I think it hit all the right notes. It was something that I was so proud of. I remember being on my office floor at Staples Center that day, like after we had loaded the video, tested everything, and I was just like exhausted because I didn't sleep. I pulled an all-nighter to finish it. And I was just in tears of sadness for Kobe, joy of what I created. It was just that moment in my career where I just felt like I made something. This is like my, something that I'm just the most proud of that I've done. And so it was shown, around the world. And then I won my first major award for it, which is called the Golden Matrix Award, which is in our industry is like, kind of like the Emmys or the Oscars for like sports entertainment. And it was for best tribute video. So in that category. And so it was just something that, that's what I'm the most proud of that sticks out.
Yeah, that's amazing. I've seen that. Well, the video went viral as soon as the game, was played, and that's amazing. I didn't think I'd be sitting here interviewing the man behind it.
Thanks, appreciate it.
That's an amazing highlight. That's something that you could tell your grandkids for sure.
Right.
The next question I have is, what advice would you offer college students or recent graduates pursuing a career in sports?
Honestly, doing exactly what you're doing is a great start. You putting yourself out to interview someone like me, anyone that's working in sports that has been in your shoes, like, who's aspired to do what I'm doing. Like I said, when I was a kid, this is what I wanted to do. And when I thought I was going to get into like sports broadcasting and be on the other side of the camera when I was a kid. That was like my dream. And then in high school, I was fortunate enough to have a new teacher that created this class called mass media that was about video production. And I formed a show with some kids, some friends, that was like a sports show. And we would cover the sports in our high school. We'd interview players and like do stuff. And I got into editing. Someone needed to edit the show. And so I tried my hand at it, and it just kind of came natural. And my teacher saw something in me. So it's if you have that passion early on, just, believe in yourself. Like everyone starts at some point. So I would say, just don't, when I applied with the Lakers years back, there was some confidence issues with like, can I get this job? Like, these types of things, because it's so competitive, obviously. Yeah. But if you want it, you believe in it, then you're gonna make it happen. And just go into those interviews with confidence, be as prepared as you can, do things you can to stick out. Like, for instance, when I interviewed with the Lakers, I prepared my resume. I printed on like the thickest cardstock you could find. Like, I wanted it to stick out. I wanted when I handed that to someone, even though they've seen my resume online, and I handed to them, I wanted them to feel it and be like, whoa, what? Like, this is different. You know, like this guy, there's a level of detail that you're showing someone to separate. And it's such a small thing, but I think those things do go a long way. And ultimately, with any professional job, you know, it's really half of the battle is these people are looking at who do they want to work with. And I might not have been the most, you know, experienced person with my resume at that time when the Lakers hired me, but I really hit it off with my boss at the time, and we had a bond, and like those are also really important things. So don't question your confidence sometimes with your experience level. You can always learn, soak things up, and you'll be fine. But it's put yourself out there. Don't be afraid to fail. That's what I would say.
I think that's great advice, and I've heard that before. Doing resume prep, like little things like that, and also the name of your resume that you have saved in your computer, like just putting like Los Angeles Lakers
Right.
/ Noah instead of just resume, you know, updated August. So
Right.
I have heard that before.
Yeah, always. And if you're communicating with someone and you're reaching out to someone, you know, whether it's LinkedIn, you know, always try to make it as not look like a template, you know, make it look like it's specific to that team, that organization, and that you really done the research and that you care.
Yeah.
And it's not just, you just changed the word Lakers on, you know, something like that, that level that really shows, and someone's going to really care about you. If they know you took the time, then they're going to want to take the time, I think, to respond and help you.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Thank you so much for doing this interview. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording now.
Sounds great. It's been great.